There are secrets that time cannot hide. Some belong to kings, some to warriors, and some to men we thought we knew. Fergus Fraser, the boy Jamie and Claire once saved, has carried a truth so heavy it could shatter the family that raised him. Outlander Season 8 will finally lift the veil on Fergus's hidden past, and what comes to light may change the Fraser legacy forever. Fergus's story begins not with power or privilege, but with pain. Before he was Fergus Fraser, he was simply a nameless boy in the streets of Paris. An orphan, surviving by quick hands and quicker lies. He stole because hunger left him no choice, and he trusted no one, because trust, in his world, meant betrayal. That is the child Jamie Fraser stumbled upon all those years ago. That is the child who would soon become part of something greater. When Jamie and Claire brought Fergus into their lives, it wasn't just an act of kindness. It was the birth of a bond stronger than blood. For Jamie, Fergus became like a son, a symbol of second chances. For Claire, he was a reminder that even in a brutal world, compassion can change a life. Over the years, Fergus grew from a desperate thief into a man of loyalty and courage, fighting beside the Frasers through exile, revolution, and war. He was no longer the boy lost in the shadows of Paris. He was family, but every family has secrets. And even as Fergus smiled, laughed, and raised children with Marsali, there was always something unspoken in his eyes, a weight that even love could not erase. Fans of Outlander have long wondered, what exactly does Fergus hide from his past? The series has shown us glimpses, pain, shame, fear, but never the whole truth. Season 8 promises that the silence will break. Think about it. Fergus has always stood by Jamie, ready to sacrifice anything for him. He lost a hand defending Claire, a reminder etched forever into his body. He built a life from ashes, proving his worth again and again. But what if everything we believed about Fergus was only half the story? What if the boy who became a Fraser was not simply an orphan, but someone marked by a legacy darker than we could imagine? This is where Outlander Season 8 draws us in. Not just with battles, not just with romance, but with the kind of revelation that changes everything. Fergus's secret is not only about who he is, it's about what he means to the Frasers, to history, and to the fate of the Ridge itself. So as we step into this new season, we must ask, who is Fergus really? And what truth has he been hiding all these years? Fergus's life with the Frasers has always looked like a story of rescue and redemption. But when you look closer, there are pieces of his past that don't quite fit, pieces that feel deliberately hidden. From the very beginning, Jamie trusted Fergus. He took him from the brothels of Paris, gave him food, clothes, and a family name. But have you ever noticed how little we actually know about who Fergus was before that moment? He never speaks of his parents. He never shares the truth of how he ended up on those streets. All we know is what Fergus allows us to see. And sometimes, silence is louder than words. In Outlander, silence often means danger. Think of all the characters who held back the truth until it threatened to destroy everything. Dougal, Leogaire, even Claire herself with her time travel secret. Fergus's silence might be the most dangerous of all, because his story begins in a city filled with enemies, spies, and secrets. Paris was not just a place of survival for him. It was a place where history was being written in shadows. Some fans have long whispered about the unanswered questions. Could Fergus have noble blood hidden away for his own safety? Was he abandoned because of some scandal too shameful to reveal? Or darker still, could Fergus have once belonged to a family tied to the enemies of the Frasers? Imagine the weight of that truth. Growing up knowing that your bloodline was a threat to the very people who saved you. And then there's the way Fergus carries himself. He is gentle, loving, fiercely loyal. But his loyalty often feels like a man trying to prove something. As though by giving everything to Jamie and Claire, he is erasing something he cannot speak of. The missing hand, the countless sacrifices, the devotion to Marsali and his children, all of it could be seen as penance. But penance for what? Season 8 promises that the answers will not be gentle. The Fergus we thought we knew may not be the Fergus we truly meet. His past could be laced with betrayal, with connections that will shock even Jamie Fraser. And what makes this revelation so powerful is that Fergus never asked for pity, never asked for forgiveness. Yet he may be carrying a past that demands both. This is the storm building around Fergus's character. For too long, his past has been treated as a closed door. Now Outlander is about to open it. And what lies beyond could shake the very foundations of the Fraser family. The boy who once stole to survive may now find that it is the truth he stole from everyone around him, and the time has come to give it back. Every story has a turning point, and for Fergus Fraser, that moment arrives in Season 8. The man we believe to be only a loyal son, a loving husband, and a brave father is finally unmasked by his own past. The secret he has carried for years is not just personal, it is dangerous. Fergus was not simply an abandoned child of Paris. Whispers from the old city suggest something far more unsettling, that he was born of noble blood, but not the kind of nobility one would be proud to claim. His bloodline may tie him to a family of betrayal, a lineage that once stood against the Frasers in silence, shaping history from the shadows. Imagine what that means. The boy Jamie brought into his home may have been born into the very enemy's house he has spent his life fighting. But that is not the only truth. Hidden letters, long-lost documents, and names Fergus dares not speak suggest his abandonment was no accident. He may have been left in Paris to protect him, or to keep him far from the power his bloodline once held. For years, Fergus has fought for the Fraser name as if it were his own. But deep down, perhaps he feared that if the truth ever came out, the Frasers would see him not as a son, but as a threat. This secret does more than unravel Fergus's story. It casts a shadow over every moment we thought we understood. His silence suddenly makes sense. His endless sacrifices, his desperate loyalty, his refusal to claim his worth. They were never just choices. They were shields, hiding a truth that could burn the life he built to the ground. The revelation shakes the ridge. Jamie and Claire are faced with the knowledge that the boy they raised may carry the blood of their enemies. Marsali, who built a life with Fergus, must now question the man she thought she knew. And Fergus himself, torn between the family who saved him and the truth of the family he never wanted, must decide if he will finally face his past, or let it consume him. Outlander thrives on secrets, on the collision of past and future. But Fergus's secret is different. It isn't about time travel or war or prophecy. It's about identity, about whether a man is defined by the blood in his veins or the love in his heart. And as Season 8 unfolds, that question will leave every fan watching with bated breath. Fergus is no longer just the boy rescued from the streets. He is the keeper of a truth powerful enough to fracture the very bond that made him who he is. And now, the world will finally hear it. Secrets don't just break the one who carries them, they break everyone around them. And when Fergus's past finally comes to light, the Fraser household feels the tremor first. Jamie Fraser, the man who raised Fergus as a son, now stands between love and fear. For years, Jamie trusted him with his life, his family, even his cause. But now, the truth claws at his heart. Could it be that the boy he lifted out of the gutters of Paris was born from the blood of his enemies? Could every sacrifice Fergus made have been a desperate attempt to silence that truth? Jamie has faced betrayal from clans, from comrades, from kin. But this one cuts deeper, because it threatens the very bond he forged with Fergus from the beginning. Claire feels the wound differently. To her, Fergus was not a thief or an orphan. He was proof that compassion could turn tragedy into family. She sees the man he became, not the blood he was born with. Yet even Claire cannot escape the storm of doubt. If Fergus's secret places the Frasers in danger, if his past was kept hidden for reasons darker than survival, then even her boundless compassion may not be enough to shield him. And then there is Marsali, loyal, fiery, brave Marsali, who built a family with Fergus brick by brick, child by child. She has lived her life believing in the man he showed her, the gentle husband, the devoted father. But when whispers of betrayal creep into their marriage, she is forced to ask a question no wife ever wants to face. Do I really know the man I love? The Ridge itself is not blind to this revelation. Neighbors, friends, and allies begin to murmur. Trust is fragile in times of war and rebellion. If Fergus's blood ties link him to a lineage of power or treachery, can the Ridge afford to keep him within its walls? Can they risk their safety for a man whose past could ignite enemies at their doorstep? This is the danger of secrets. They do not die when spoken. They spread. They change the way eyes see you, the way hearts trust you. Fergus, once seen as the loyal son, now risks being seen as a stranger, and worse, as a threat. But perhaps the most painful question lies not with Jamie, Claire, or Marsali. It lies with Fergus himself. For years he fought to prove that he was more than the boy Paris left behind. He gave his hand, his loyalty, his soul. And now, Season 8 does not soften the blow. It shows us the raw fracture of a family that has always fought together, but may now break apart because of the truth Fergus never wanted to speak. The boy who once carried hope has become the man who carries doubt. And the Fraser legacy, strong as stone, now feels the weight of cracks deep enough to split it wide open. Secrets once spoken demand judgment. And Fergus, the man who gave everything to the Fraser name, now finds himself standing on the edge of two fates: redemption or exile. The Ridge has always been a place of family, but it has also been a place of survival. Every man and woman knows that danger often hides in plain sight. So when Fergus's true bloodline and hidden past come into the light, whispers turn to questions. Should they still trust him with their lives? Should they allow his children to play among theirs? Should a man born of an enemy be welcomed or cast out? Fergus has fought many battles, against hunger, against war, against his own sense of worth. But this is the first battle where the enemy is not across the field with swords drawn. It is within his own heart. His life is put on trial, not in a courtroom, but in the silent stares of those who once called him brother, son, and friend. Jamie, torn by love and loyalty, stands as his fiercest defender. He reminds the Ridge of Fergus's sacrifices, the hand he lost for their cause, the dangers he faced without hesitation, the family he built from nothing but devotion. To Jamie, Fergus is not defined by the blood in his veins, but by the choices he made as a man. Yet even Jamie's voice cannot silence every doubt. Trust once broken is not so easily repaired. Claire takes another stance. She does not see in Fergus a traitor or a danger. She sees a man chained by the sins of others. She pleads for compassion, for the belief that a man is more than his past. But in the harsh world of Outlander, compassion does not always win. Fear has its own power, and Fergus himself, he does not beg. He does not cry out for forgiveness. Instead, he walks a path of quiet dignity, bearing the weight of suspicion like a second shadow. He knows the truth cuts deep. He knows trust must be earned again. The question is whether he has the strength left to prove himself one more time. Marsali's heart breaks in the silence between them. She sees the man she married, the father of her children, but she also sees the cracks forming in the life they built. For her, the battle is not between truth and lies, but between love and fear. Can love survive the weight of a secret that threatens to destroy everything? This is Fergus's trial, and it is unlike any he has faced. Not a battle of swords, not a clash of armies, but a war for his identity. To stay with the Frasers, to remain part of the Ridge, he must show that who he has become matters more than who he once was. Redemption is possible, but so is exile. And as Season 8 unfolds, the audience is left to wonder, will Fergus prove himself once again? Or will the Fraser family's greatest act of love, taking him in as their own, become the very choice that tears them apart? When a secret breaks in Outlander, it doesn't stop with the characters. It spills beyond the screen, into the homes, hearts, and conversations of every fan who has ever followed the story. Fergus's revelation is no different. In fact, it may be the most divisive twist yet. For years, fans have adored Fergus as the symbol of found family. He was the boy plucked from the shadows of Paris, raised with love, and transformed into a man defined by loyalty and sacrifice. To some, he has always been proof that blood does not determine destiny. And yet, when whispers of noble ties, betrayal, or hidden shame reach the surface, Those same fans are forced to ask, who is Fergus, really? Online, the theories run wild. Some argue Fergus's secret makes him even more heroic, that he chose love over blood, family over power, and loyalty over legacy. They say his silence wasn't weakness but strength, a man refusing to let his past poison the future he built. Others, though, feel betrayed. They wonder if Fergus's story was always built on a lie, if his devotion to Jamie and Claire was fueled not by love, but by guilt and fear of discovery. The debates ripple across fan forums, podcasts, and late-night conversations. Was Fergus abandoned as a child because of scandal? Was he the heir to a fortune, stripped of his name to protect him from enemies? Or was he tied to the very forces that once sought to destroy the Frasers? Every unanswered question becomes fuel for speculation. Every silence from the showrunners another spark in the fire of theories. And then there are the emotional responses, the ones that cut deeper than plot twists. Fans who grew up seeing themselves in Fergus, who understood his struggles with worth, identity, and survival, now face the heartbreak of watching him unravel. His secret forces them to rethink not only who he is, but what he represents. For some, that is devastating. For others, it makes him more real than ever. But this is the genius of Outlander. It doesn't just tell a story, it invites you into it. Fergus's secret becomes our secret, something we carry and question, something that keeps us awake at night wondering what comes next. Will the Frasers forgive him? Will Marsali stand by him? Will Fergus himself finally forgive the boy he once was? Season 8 doesn't just promise answers. It promises division. It promises fire. It promises that Fergus Fraser, long a quiet figure in the background, will step into the center of the storm. And whether fans defend him or doubt him, one thing is certain: nobody will see him the same way again. Secrets, once revealed, are like fire. They burn, they spread, and they change everything they touch. Fergus Fraser's shocking truth has done more than rewrite his past. It has set his future ablaze. Now the question is not whether Fergus belongs to the Fraser family. The question is whether the Fraser family can survive the weight of his secret. Jamie and Claire stand at a crossroads. Do they hold him tighter than ever, or do they protect their family by letting him go? Marsali faces her own storm, choosing between the man she loves and the fear of the life his bloodline might bring upon their children. And Fergus himself, he must decide if he will keep fighting to prove who he has become, or surrender to the chains of who he once was. But Outlander does not give us easy answers. It thrives in the shadows of history, in the cracks between love and betrayal, destiny and choice. Fergus's secret is not just a twist. It is the spark of a new chapter, a chapter that could see him rise as a hero reborn, or fall as the man who fractured the Fraser legacy forever. And this is where the story hands the torch to us, the fans, because every secret in Outlander is a mirror, reflecting the questions we fear to ask. Do blood and birth decide who we are? Or can love, loyalty, and sacrifice rewrite fate itself? Fergus's journey is no longer just his own. It is ours to interpret, to debate, and to carry forward. So as Season 8 looms closer, one thing is certain: Fergus Fraser will no longer stand in the background. His truth will echo across the ridge, across history, and across the hearts of every Outlander fan who dares to wonder what comes next. The fire has been lit. The secret has been revealed. But the story? The story is far from over. What do you think Fergus has truly been hiding? Will his secret redeem him or destroy everything he loves? Share your theories below, because in this storm, every voice matters.